I think we'll start now. So, the first colloquium in this monsoon semester, and strangely it starts in summer vacation. And in fact, lots of things happen in this vacation, so I think it is quite right to start this in a very unique time and under unique circumstances. So today, for the first time, we have a book discussion in our colloquium. And so I think we are so privileged to have Satya here and other speakers to discuss about his opus magnum, the political theology of Schelling. And in fact, I have to say something about this Satya and his involvement in this colloquium. So at the very instance of this inception of this colloquium, we were there. We discussed that. Satya, Sharad and I, we sat at Gengadava and we discussed about this colloquium in 2013. Yeah. And that's how it started. And now we have a great moment discussing Satya's book. And as usual, colloquium is a constellation of minds. And people from all over Delhi, from DU, from Ambedkar University, from other institutions, CSDS, and from various schools and centers of JNU. The title is The Political Theology of Schelling. Friedrich Wilhelm Joseph Schelling, the major, great proponent of German pietism, unfortunately overshadowed by Hegel from the 19th century. In fact, some of us are quite familiar with this thought and the content through Agora discussion which Satya organized. I think we discussed this from 2015 to 2016 in the framework of political theology. And at that time, we had a kind of discussion, so why he's so obsessed with political theology and with Ransom and Charles. And now I know why it was. And a proper academic practice, he had planned the work, prepared for that, put that in discussion, and then wrote the work, published from a good publishing house, that is from the Edinburgh University Press. Yeah, I must tell you this, we have to organize in a short notice, thanks to Uday. It's all Uday's idea, and so we worked, we had to organize everything in a short span of time. And that means I want to say I had time only to read the introduction and 2 chapters. That is actuality without potentiality and the rhythm of history. I think these are the 2 important chapters. And I must tell you that this is a brilliant work. This is a brilliant work, written in a brilliant language, style, and also a bit complex. Yeah. But then, from my experience with the Western academia, I can tell you with confidence that, and this would be more than enough for the author to be appointed in an old, renowned Western university as professor. And even to take primo et unico loco, and I'm not exaggerating, but that doesn't happen here, unfortunately. Yeah, and another remark would be, from my point of view, it smacks of German, the language and the style. And I would be very much interested if Satya or I'd be happy to cooperate if this work in future will be translated into German. And then how the reception would be in the German academic circle, where theology is done in a very philosophical way, philosophical frameworks. So with this short introduction, I would request Mr. Rudo to introduce the author and the program.
Thank you so much, Babu, and especially for hosting this particular event at such a short notice under the aegis of Philosophy Colloquium, which has been doing some fantastic work in JNU for many years now. Now we are assembled here in a particular context, as you all know. Of course, we'd like to know about Schelling. Of course, we'd like to know about the political theology of Schelling. But there is an immediate context, and most of us are aware of that. We are living through extremely troubled times, and not only would political theology be interesting there, because evidently politics is being done nowadays in the name of religion, and we would like to know how political theology is not necessarily the kind of very bizarre blending of politics and religion that happens in the hands of today's dispensation. But that is a more macrological context. But there is a specific context here too. As we all know, that the author whose book we are going to discuss today, whose book, The Political Theology of Schelling, is something that we would like to brainstorm through today's afternoon, is someone who has been at the receiving end of an extremely discriminatory mode of gauging an academic's words. And therefore we are almost in solidarity with him and in a defiant kind of a combat to such regimes which try to absolutely on their own scales gauge what they have no clue about, evidently. I mean, the current dispensationalists know not the faintest clue about what Satya's work is worth and what, let's say, the entire domain of philosophy or the kind of work that Satya and many of us do is really worth. And therefore, this particular event is not just an event to know about the political theology of Schelling, but also to showcase the academic potential, the academic work that this brilliant young academic Satyavrata Das, who is, and I have no hesitation in saying so, even if it appears hyperbolic, is probably one of the brightest minds, if not the brightest intellectual in the current humanities horizon. And we are assembled here to listen to him today, to know about his book, to know about the particular range of academic values that he espouses and he stands for. So this is precisely why we have come here today, but I would not take any more of your time. Everyone knows Satya, and we have come to listen to him, and especially he talking about this book of his, which Babu has already shown you from Edinburgh University Press, which is The Political Theology of Schelling, and therefore I'd invite Satya to talk about his book before we move on to the other speakers and then move on to a round of discussion.
Thank you for this absolutely generous gestures from my friends, family, colleagues and students. Thank you very much for your generosity, for your love, for your admiration, for your inspiration, everything. It's so very touching. In fact, we should...
Satya, the mic is not working.
I was not speaking.
Yes, speak close to that.
While it's important to take care of the context, the immediate context that both Babu and Sogato talked about, we must also be able to think beyond the immediate context. Rather, we should be able to think the context in the horizon of the larger intellectual projects that we have. Because these immediate contexts, they are here and they will go tomorrow. But we have to do more intellectual work and also maintain a kind of ethical standpoint in relation to which any regime, and this regime in particular, any regime as such, will always fall short of. So I think that first that we should be able to have such intellectual works of a very high quality, and as well as ethical standards we have to maintain in such a way that any regime always falls short of. But this cannot be a kind of programmatic politics that we can have, but the programmatic politics can be part of the larger intellectual task that we students and teachers, researchers have. Right, so given that, I will go to my work. So what I will do, I will read out some pages, and then I'll try to explain in brief what the book is all about. So I'll read few pages from the book. There is hardly anyone in the history of philosophy who, with all profundity and originality of his thought, is read so little and understood even less. This enigmatic thinking has failed to be contemporaneous, the subtle mood of an epochal condition. But it is this essential failure that is for us is more interesting and more fascinating today than the success or victory of a completed philosophical system. Schelling failed remarkably. His attempts to arrive at a definitive system could only give rise to a plethora of attempts to produce one. Each of them is destined to fail, as though by an ineluctable necessity that is singular to his thought. It is as if there is a kind of worklessness or unworking, to use a phrase from Moritz Spinoza, that is at work each time his thought attempts to institute itself at work. To come to terms with this worklessness, with this vertigo of thought, is something of a task today. And it is from Heidegger, more than anyone else, that we know that this failure has something essential to do with confronting mortality as mortality, death as death. That is, with encountering the event that singularizes each one of us in turn and each one of us singularly. The question of mortality, that is the vertigo of thought, even that fractures the regime of constituted phenomenality, that absolute singularity that remains indifferent with respect to the maximizing thrust of hegemony, so fraught with pain, is fundamental to Schellingian thinking as well. And we will soon see that this question of pain, tied up with tragic experience of the singular event as singular, is an inevitable element of the Schellingian phenomenology of nature as much as of spirit. We have learned from Heidegger and very recently from Rainer Schumann that essential thinking is singularized by mortality. Or, to put it another way, singularity is marked by mortality in such a manner that thinking is singular to the measure by which it is measured by mortality. One can say that what interests us today, more than ever before perhaps, is this experience of finite thinking that is fragile, bereft of sovereignty, a thinking marked by destitution and by the nakedness of a confrontation with what exceeds all measure, immeasurable that is always incommensurable to the accustomed mood of our being in the world. Schelling has a name for this, a strange name, and all the more so because of its provisional character, and because it names in a manner which at once leaves the unsaid to its provenance. It's a name that is less a theological pretension to name the name than a bearing witness in finitude to that which must be left with access. Schelling calls it Übersein, above or beyond being. The event of encountering the glory of that which is even beyond being, immeasurable par excellence, is also a kind of violence. But it is a violence that redeems an experience. It is not the violence of the maximizing thrust of vision, which transforms phenomena into hegemonic phantasm. The task here will be to show how, in my work and in Schelling's work, there is a singularizing intensity at work that undoes at the same time the instituting impulse of his thought. We are thus already introduced to what is fundamentally important for us, which we name here as religion, wherein the question is not so much that of being, but what exceeds being, any being whatsoever, even the being of God. If being is, in a preeminent sense, a hegemonic phantasm, as Nietzsche, according to Nietzsche, following Nietzsche, if being is, in a preeminent sense, a hegemonic phantasm of Occidental metaphysics, then this God without being indicates the singularizing event that will release us from the hegemonic impulse of constituted phenomenality. This gesta, which comes to Schelling via Master Eckhart, consists of intensifying a distinction between God as the principle or arche of beings, God as hegemonical, and on the other hand, the idea of Godhead without sovereignty. We must learn to exist without principle and without arche. So Eckhart says, so Schelling too. An enigmatic saying, for it implies that what we call religiosity demands that we learn to abandon not only any being whatsoever and the whole domain of what we call worldly, but even God. We must abandon even God. The strange idea of religiosity, religion, freedom from religion and freedom through religion and freedom to religion. This strange idea of religiosity, as to religiosity must abandon even religion, abandon it to the extent that it is ruled by arche or principle. The glory of the Lord is kenosis. In such a case, where religion is ruled by an arche called God, it would not be qualitatively different from hegemonic powers of the world. The crucial idea here is abandonment. The Eckhartian word that will eventually be crucial for Heidegger himself in his later period. Schelling combines here the Greek philosopher and the Christian speculative mystic in order to open up the strange idea of religiosity. Religiosity is Gelassenheit, abandonment of all the arche and principles that constitutes the hegemony of the world. Religiosity would then amount to none other than the gesture of impoverishing or destituting the sovereign reference of the world hegemony. This is the fundamental thesis that Schelling attempts at various periods of his philosophical career, and it is my task in this book to bring it to manifestation. To think religiosity or religion without sovereignty. I thus argue in this work that this is the very precise point of his contention with Hegel, or what a discourse can come to be called a debate of Hegel as German ideality, and that it was this scandal of religion that led him eventually to break with German ideality, inaugurating a new thinking beyond metaphysics, while passing through the passage of the deconstruction or destitution of metaphysics. The sovereign reference here entered into destitution. Religion would now come to mean something like a passage through which the worldly hegemonies enter their destitution. Schelling has a word for it, very close to Eckhart's Gelassenheit and Schumann's destitution. He calls it mortification, which implies that the hegemonic reference confront their utter insufficiency and utter non-sovereignty. The late Schellingian idea, the idea of actuality without potentiality, which is what I was basically concerned with in the book. The late Schellingian idea, the idea of actuality without potentiality, taken up from Aristotle and yet leading him against the grain, has an immense political and theological consequences for us. In this Schellingian reading, actuality of the divine is seen as irreducible to any potencies or any powers of the world. The divine in actuality is a non-power. In confronting the actuality without potentiality, the worldly powers enter into destitution. The Pauline messianic idea of kenosis resonates here. Actuality without potentiality means emptying out the predicates, potencies, or attributes of the world. The idea of divine morning, which is to be found in Schelling as much as in Hölderlin, opens up the event of the apparition of the divine, which Hölderlin calls holy, which is without sovereignty and which as such interrupts the constituted phenomenality of worldly hegemony. It is not an apparition that constitutes the regimes of worldly truth. Rather, the divine appears without appearing, appears as disappearing, and is thus what Heidegger calls the inapparent apparition. It is Hölderlin who poeticizes the condition of modernity, where the divine is in constant flight from the world, abandoning the whole of nature and history with profound lament. Very close to his poet frame, Schelling too conceives of the divine as in morning. Likewise, the fundamental attunement of the mortal is this indestructible way of profound melancholy that affects the whole contiguity of beings. Such a mournful, absconding divine cannot itself serve as the sovereign foundation for earthly powers in a worldly order. Between the divine and the worldly, between religiosity of the religion and the profane and political order of the world lies an abyss of separation or an irreducible distance. This is what I call political theology. That the world is separated from its foundation, and with the advent of the eschaton, or in the breaking in of the eschaton, the foundation is unavailable to the world. In fact, schematically, to put it more programmatically here, these few words, this is the essence of what I call political theology, as distinguished from the Smithian idea of political theology, which is based upon the, as you know, the theological idea of the medieval conception of analogia empties. Now, the analogia empties is an idea that comes from Thomas Aquinas, which believes on the, which is based upon the idea of proportionality. So you have the empties God, you have the empties the earthly sovereign figure. So between the divine sovereign and the earthly sovereign, there is an analogy. So this is an analogia empty. The Smithian political theology, as you know, is based upon the idea of exception, which is the logic of sovereignty, that exception in regard to the normative order under which law functions. So there is, in any constitution, even in Indian constitution, you will find, but in right constitution, in Smith's time, just before Hitler came into power, there is an Article 48 that grants, that constitutionally grants the sovereign exceptional power to suspend the constitution itself, suspend the law of the order of the law itself, in order to refigure or reconstitute or bring into forth a new order of law. So the exception here, in the case of Carl Smith, which is based on the theological idea of analogia empties, is an idea of exception which exceptionally suspends by manner of decision, that the sovereign is the power, he who decides on the state of exception, who exceptionally suspends the order of the law, that is exception, in order to bring into forth a new order of law. Now this is the idea of exception, the Smithian idea of exception, which is based on the theological principle of analogia, which is in a way attacked in my book, is following Jacob Taube's, what he calls the negative political theology, which is the exception that doesn't become rule in turn, unlike Smithian exception, which is the exception becomes rule in turn. We have the idea of the conception of the messianic or eschatological, what I call eschatological here, is where the exception doesn't become rule in turn. In other words, it is an infinite deconstruction, which doesn't know any analogia entities between, on the one hand, the divine sovereign figure and on the other hand, the earthly sovereign figure. Now, I have used extensively, as I have just mentioned here, I have read Master Eckhart and so the influence of Master Eckhart on Schelling to show that in Schellingian idea of, late Schellingian idea of actuality without sovereignty, where he basically confronts a Hegelian theology of history, where Schelling thinks of an exception, which is such an exception which doesn't become, in turn, a sovereign figure. So exception without sovereignty is something what I call the political theology. Vis-a-vis the other political theology of sovereignty, that is Carl Smithian political theology. Now, as you know that Smithian political theology evolves the idea of religion as what he calls arcane, myth. So, to create politics, as Smith says in Roman Catholicism and political form, to create politics belongs to create myth. In other words, all politics is mythically founded. It's a mythical constitution. Sovereignty is mythically constituted. That's Smithian point. Now, even for Smith will say that even Stalin's time, the idea of the communist society is a kind of myth. You see, all mode of legitimation is a mythical constitution. That's the fundamental point of Smith. And it is against the liberal secular democracy that has come to be from the Enlightenment. That is, the whole Enlightenment project lies in liquidification or neutralization of religion, right? And displacement of religion by reason, following Kant and then in Hegel. And in Hegel there is a, Hegel takes up the idea of Good Friday as God is above, and here is the prophet order, and Christ, becoming God and man, reconciles the two orders. So through this mode of reconciliation, that God died on the cross, that is minus becomes minus, right? The negation is negated. So through this negation of negation, Christ could reconcile the heavenly order or the salvation history and the prophet order. Now the result is the Hegelian philosophy of history or Hegelian theology of history, where God, as it were, takes a journey in the world history. So God takes part in the world history, so much so that Hegel could say that 19th century Prussian state is the embodiment of the absolute. Now the modern state of 19th century in Hegel's, according to Hegel's philosophy of right, this is the text, where Hegel says that the modern state of Prussia is the embodiment of the absolute. It's a figure of the absolute. That through Christ there is a reconciliation of the salvation history, what is called Heidegger's, and the prophet history. So there is an embodiment of the absolute in the prophet order, in the world historical order itself, which has led Hegel to deify the world historical order in such an extent that you could say that the 19th century Prussian state is the embodiment of the absolute, is the figure of the absolute in objective way. So you have the embodiment of the absolute in the subjective order, you have the embodiment of the absolute in the objective order. In the objective order, 19th century Prussian state is the last stage of the world historical becoming in which everything is being synthesized, everything has been reconciled. Now this is a fundamental text, very fundamental assumption against which both Marx and Nietzsche comes up, the critique of Hegel, with their respective critique of Hegel. The Marxist deconstruction of Hegel lies precisely in this assertion. In this assertion, when Hegel could say that the state is the embodiment of the absolute. And the Marx where, instead of seeing the modern state as embodiment of the state, as is P, subject is equal to predicate, so there is a kind of logical reconciliation as well. Marx decouples that logical proposition in Hegel, says S is not P. The real is not yet rational and the reason is not yet real. That's the kind of decoupling, which is also indifferent to a Nietzsche took up in the uses and abuses of history, where Nietzsche famously criticizes Hegel for his theology of history that ends up justifying all the abuse of the world. As it were, there is a necessity in the world historical becoming of world history. There is a necessity in the logic of becoming in Hegelian philosophy of history that has to, in a determinate way, has to end up in the good. Since everything good is going to happen in any way, all that is bad, which is the kind of necessary for good to assert itself, is more or less justified. So this is the kind of Nietzschean and Marxist critique of Hegelian theology of history that ends up deifying, first of all, deifying the world historical politics into kind of salvation history, as it were God embodies himself in the world historical order. It is this embodiment, it is this immanence of Hegelian philosophy of history that is Marxian, where Marx and Nietzsche comes to be constructed. Now, I try to show in my historical reading of Schelling that not only Marx and Nietzsche, but also Kierkegaard were very, very influenced by Schelling. Because Schelling is the first person to come up to a decisive critique of Hegelian philosophy of history. But Schelling directly attacks not so much the philosophy of history, but grounds his critique of the philosophy of history by taking into account Hegelian logic. Now, I don't want to deal with it, it's very, very complicated, because Hegel's logic is the most important part of Hegelian philosophy as far as I can see myself. So, the Selingian point of, and Marx was very interested in Seling's lectures, which is a big lecture. It's a kind of, Hegel died in 1831 in cholera, as you know, and then he became by that time the official philosopher of Christian state, the philosopher of the Christian state. Right? To counter-attack the bad influence of Hegelian philosophy, so there Schelling, who can counter Hegelian philosophy? So the Schelling was requested to join the chair that was vacated by Hegel. So the same chair, the chair of professor in the University of Berlin, Schelling joined in 1841, 10 years after the death of Hegel, to counteract the bad influence of the Hegelian philosophy. Now, these are the lectures that were absolutely fascinating, and all these big people were there. Engels was there, and Bakunin was there, Humboldt were there, and Kierkegaard was there. So all these big thoughts, and Marx was not there. Marx was away, so Marx got to Engels and said that please inform me what is happening there, right? And Engels got there some. So these are big lectures. So this is a decisive critique in of Hegelian philosophy of history. We cannot understand the left Hegelian deconstruction of Hegel's philosophy without taking into account the late Selingian philosophy of history. Whether it is Bakunin, whether it is any, or even one cannot understand the development post-Hegel in the right Hegelian side without understanding the late Selingian philosophy of history. The problem is, I'm skipping the whole logical part and ontological part. It's very, very difficult, at least much more difficult than Hegel, especially when you read Scheling's logic and ontology. It's just impenetrable. So there is, what interests us is the problem of history after the death of Hegel, and the developments in post-Hegelian philosophy, Kierkegaard and Nietzsche and etc. The developments are in these developments, the invisible presence is that of Scheling's philosophy. So it is like something like really the flash of lightning that has happened in a few years, and then as you know that this is a very intense period after the death of Hegel. Within few years, and all these people came, Bakunin and Marx and Engels and then Kierkegaard and Nietzsche and etc. Within just 20 years, it's like a burgeoning period of completely new kind of thinking that took place. And that transition period is prepared by Selingian philosophy. That is my point. In this way, I have historically tried to show different modes of thinking that developed out of Schelling. One is kind of what I call atheistic eschatological thinking, that is Marx, etc. And I try to show that Marx's thought is basically eschatological. It's basically eschatological messianic thinking. So instead of reading Marx in relation to economic determinism, in terms of economic determinism, I try to think of Marx as a kind of eschatological thinker, messianic thinker. So there is one kind of development from Schelling, that is eschatological atheistic thinker, the thinking of Marx and etc., Bakunin and so on and so forth. Then you have the Christian eschatological thinkers like Kierkegaard, and in a similar line, not Christian, but people like Rosenzweig, very, very important. I have dealt with Rosenzweig in a far more detailed way because he's a very dear thinker of mine. Rosenzweig's messianic thinking is completely taken away from Schelling. So you have the second mode of development, which is theological, if you want to call it, theological development, messianic in terms of Rosenzweig, and eschatological in terms of Kierkegaard. And I tried to show, and I'm in my present work, in my book on Kierkegaard that I'm working on at present, I have tried to show how this Kierkegaard's Christianity without Christendom, this eschatological idea is based upon the late Selingian idea or deconstruction of Christianity. Now, this is second development. And the third development which is very, very interesting, is psychoanalysis. So Seligman idea of the unconscious that he develops in his early works, less in his later work, that the Freudian psychoanalysis is hugely influenced by the, in fact, a lot of works have been done in this aspect. For example, if you read people like Manfred Frank, who is very, very important German philosopher, who developed the Marxist, important of Seligman thought for the Marxist dialectical thought, and so on and so forth. So this is one thing. Now, to place it in a contemporary perspective, what I'm trying to do is to bring up Schelling at the kind of we have to now explain these words that I'm going to use to bring Schelling as a kind of contemporary response to the crisis of secular liberal politics in today's world. In a way, it's a kind of post-secular Schelling that I'm trying to invent. Now this needs to be elaborated. It's not very simple. So what does it mean, secular? The word seculum means worldly. So my friend, who is very important Schellingian, Son Menrat, who would call it is Schelling as secular thinker, but means the same thing as mine. So it is a very, very complex problem. So what I mean by here that there is a crisis of, or there is not so much, there is a kind of destitution of the modern hegemonical. The modern hegemonical, the fundamental or the sovereign referent of that modern hegemonical is what I call the subject. Now this subject is, which is the sovereign referent of modern hegemonical, is based upon certain idea of potentiality. Now, the Seligman idea of late Seligman idea actually to without potentiality attempts to think an idea of exception which is outside potentiality and as such cannot be taught on the basis of the sovereign reference or legitimizing principle of modern hegemony. And as such, the modern hegemonical or modern hegemony has now broken. There is a broken hegemony of modernity. Because the founding principle of the legitimizing principle, the sovereign referent of the modern hegemony, is now undergoing destitution. And in Schelling's thought, in Schelling's idea of actuality without potentiality, which is also my kind of response to Agamben's idea of potentiality, is an attempt to show that in Schellingian thought, there is an attempt to think of an exception without sovereignty. And this exception without sovereignty has immense political consequences for us today, now, more than ever before. And this means to think of religion again, not in that outside of that term that takes place from enlightenment, that is, which consists of the purification of religion. Now it is necessary maybe to rethink religion in terms of religion, which means double sense. First of all, it means unlinking. It also means delinking. It means delinking. It also means relinking. In other words, we should be able to think in two sense. First of all, delinking. In other words, delinking from any mythic constitution of worldly sovereignty. All worldly sovereignties are relinking, rebinding. On the other hand, it is relinking in what terms, following Jacob Cobres, I call covenantal relationship. So the messianic conception is not relinking in terms of mythic relinking, but in terms of eschatological delinking of mythic foundation and relinking in terms of covenantal relationship, which is what I call messianic community. Now it is necessary to think now, today more than ever before, in the world of atomized individuality, to thinking of a messianic community or an eschatological community which doesn't give up the singularity and which thinks of something, an exception outside the dialectical opposition between universal and the particular. In other words, the singularity which opens up a new universality is the idea of the messianic community which I am trying to develop more and more. In fact, it's not much there in this input, but in my Kierkegaard book, I am reading a text, a beautiful Kierkegaardian text called The Work of Love. There is a chapter in my new book where I am trying to develop the idea of a messianic community. And Kierkegaard is supposed to be thought of a kind of solitary individual, isolated individual. I am trying to argue that no, precisely the other way. That Kierkegaard is the thinker of community par excellence. But it is a new community, it's a different community that doesn't exist yet. It's an eschatological community to come. But this eschatological community to come has to go via a certain invention or certain bringing into forth of the idea of exception of singularity, which is exception before God for Kierkegaard. Right? But this doesn't mean the isolated individuals which are like in a fragmented society. No, nor the singularity be thought in terms of kind of particular instantiation of the universal. A singularity outside a particular instantiation of the universal, it's that singularity that breaks these hegemonies, any worldly hegemonies. And it is in religion, in the sense that I am saying, not religion in different sense, not in the sense of myth. Therefore, I make a distinction between. This is a very important point in my book. Make a distinction between myth and religion. Religion is not myth. Religion is an interruption of myth or deconstruction of myth. It is mythic interruption in a sense. So, it is religion in Kierkegaardian sense. That is religion, freedom for religion, but freedom without religion. At the same time, it is this singularity outside totality that breaks each and every instance, every worldly hegemony. And this breaking, this exception cannot function, doesn't function as a legitimizing principle of any worldly hegemony. This is my attack on Carl Schmitt. In other words, I take from Carl Schmitt the idea of transcendence as against Smithian critique of Hegelian immanence, but at the same time, I am trying to think of the transcendence not as analogia antis. In other words, I am reading more and more theological works, reading works of Karl Barth and etc. But this I am not going to talk about now. The thing is that and I am also very interested in things like Gnosticism, which based upon and a lot of theological matters that I will discuss if you pause me certain questions. But the whole thing here is how to think without analogia antis. Political theology of Carl Schmitt is based upon analogia antis, and it ends up as a legitimizing principle of worldly sovereignties on theological grounds. While I am trying to think of a political theology that cannot function as analogia antis. It is a kind of difference that separates, which is the idea of holy, aus Gendarung and aus and Gendarung. So this is separation, and in other words, I'm bringing much of Pauline theology, the opposition between Christus and Nomos and so on and so forth. A political theology, I'm trying to think of a political theology, which is suspension of the earthly Nomos. But that doesn't become, in turn, new legitimizing. An exception without becoming new. This is political. And I think that in Selim it is there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Satya. After this rather dense exposition of his book, I think rather than going straight into the other presentations, the other speeches, maybe we could have a round of discussion straight away, because while the audience is still, while it's still fresh in the audience's mind, the questions should be posed. So this is the right time to pose questions. So questions, please. How the destitution of the political in modernity, destitution of the political of modernity in current times requires for a re-linking through religion of a certain kind of political theology, but a political theology that is not Schmittian in its essence, but rather something that could be traced in Schelling, or rather the profound critique that had its seeds in Schelling of an Hegelian notion of sovereignty, of which we know more through Nietzsche and Marx, but in which probably Schelling as being the progenitor of the three triadic offshoots of Schellingerism in Marxism, in Kierkegaardianism, and in psychoanalysis, provides for the possibility of an exception without sovereignty, and provides for, therefore, an alternate kind of rethinking the political itself as something messianic, as something which is actuality without potentiality. It's a concise thesis, but fairly dense, but I'm sure there will be many questions to ask. Yes, please. Most of the mics don't work, so you have to speak up.
So, sir, when you were talking about...
it is a mic actually.
Oh, there is a...
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I don't know whether this question, how much time explaining, but when we were talking about broken modernity, so in my discussion with my friends, I have always been engaged with this idea that there is embedded unmodern within the modern. Embedded unmodern within the modern. So when you are talking about broken modernity, I would refer to those aspects of modern which is unmodern, and if it goes away, you also not lament about it. Then the substitute of it makes you build the new. So in Indian context, in Indian philosophical context, when we talk of dharma, ethics, the structure which is within, which is like the inner world. So, all Western philosophy, I have this idea that it always tries to their outside, develop this understanding based on the logic. So, coming back, taking the debate for the spectrum, that is talking about the structure which is within in the context of dharma. So how can that be understood in terms of that autonomy as unmodern?
Let's collect a few more questions. Yes, please. You can pass the mic. Yes.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation, because very interesting to think of suspension in the slide that you're putting through sharing. I haven't thought of it. I'm trying to understand the idea that you just put forth. So, law that operates in a suspension is exceptional. There is an inside-outside relationship that law has been suspended and yet enforced, hence that is a normative exception. Singularity that operates despite suspension, I mean, if I understand the idea that you put forth correctly, just in a manner of it, is it singularity that operates in the universality of suspended law? Would that be a way to work within the framework of the Atomican reformulation of Schmitt? How would you place singularity within that framework? I'm just curious so that I can understand the idea. Thank you.
One question is to attack dialectical thoughts. See, so dialectical thoughts opposes particular against the universal, and through a synthesis there is a sublation. Synthesis is the tool of sublation through negation, elevation, right? There is one more negation, elevation, preservation. So through sublation there is a reconciliation between the universal and the particular. This is the classic dialectical thought. What we should try to think of is something that I have developed in my last chapter is for the Schumann I call tragic thought. The tragic thought is the idea of the different, not between different, not in terms of opposition, but different between singularity and the universality. Right? So once this one of the particles, basically the singulars, are reduced to the particulars and then subsumed under the universal, then there is a denial of the tragic. And when there is a denial of the tragic, so there is a emergence of hegemony. So the hegemony is a result of a tragic denial. What we need to think of a tragic thought, of an irreducible difference between the singular and the universal. That means singular, unsubsumable under the universal. Which is a non-dialectical thought. And I try to show that in Seligman, mid-Seligman thought, because Seligman also is a dialectical thinker. In mid-Seligman thought, something happens after 1807. 1809 Phenomenology of Spirit of Hegel was published, and 1807 he published his Phenomenology. Seligman publishes Phenomenology. There is a critique of Seligman in Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit, where Hegel famously says that the Seligman idea of absolute is something like an absolute now, absolute night, where all clouds are black. You see? So Seligman said, no, I am not thinking absolute in terms of absolute night where all clouds are black. So then Hegel said, respond thereby saying, no, I did not mean to attack you. I meant to attack those Selignians who talk on your behalf. Then Seligman wrote a letter saying that if you think like that, then in your next edition, please clarify this in your Phenomenology of Spirit. But Hegel did not do it. As a result, they have split apart. Neither is Seligman and Hegel is precisely on this point. Now, something happens in the mid-Seligman. There is a crisis in mid-Seligman thought, which leads to thinking of what Seligman calls narrative philosophy, narrative thinking, as against the non-dialectical thinking.
Then how does it apply?
Now, cows become many colors.
Would you like to respond to the first question?
Oh, the first question, I really don't know what is the I'm sorry, no, I really don't know about it.
Yeah, so this question primarily is about are there latent elements of non-modernity within modernity itself, which now seem to have surfaced?
Absolutely.
Rather than modernity being thoroughly undone, there are certain latent elements within modernity that have resurfaced.
What is the lesson that?
Absolutely, I mean, that is why this is one of the purposes of my reading study is to show that how in 19th century, which is a response to enlightenment, there are other thinkers who do not participate in that philosophy of history. And Schelling, people like Franz Bader, people like Hamann, we don't read this philosophy. But they are not participating in it. People, there are big debates between Hamann and Kant, between Hegel and Hamann, Schelling and Hegel, and etc. There are other moods of thinking which don't want to participate in this grand receipt of modernity. But at the same time, belong to this. In other words, they are non-contemporaneous thinking, belonging in contemporary. This is what Nietzschean idea also non-contemporaneity. Not co-temporality. It's non-contemporaneity. So it's a kind of diatonic thinkers. Nietzsche is something like that. Diatonic thinker. Doesn't want untimely thinker. Untimely veritas is that of his book. So yes, but in Indian context I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm very ignorant.
Incidentally, Hegel and Schelling were roommates.
They are classmates, they are roommates, they are in the same room.
All potential hostile roommates should be wary as to what non-contemporaneous diachronic thinking should be happening in the rooms. Any further questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to the speakers, and then we can have a second round of discussion after further, let's say, elucidation on the book by the speakers. Any questions? Okay, I guess we can move on to the speakers. There are 3 speakers, but Milind Wakankar hasn't been able to make it, but his presentation is here, and which, depending on how much time we have, I'll read out, if, of course, time permits us, after we have heard the speakers who are present. And therefore, I would invite, in which order? Yes. So, Sandhya Devesen Nambiar, she Or probably Shomura should be the first speaker. So Shomabrata Chaudhary needs no introduction. He's from the School of Arts and Aesthetics, and he will tell us something about Satya's book.
Thank you for inviting me to this session. I'm glad that Philosophy Development has organized this. Also, the English Center has taken initiative in particular. Something which was definitely necessary. I mean, it was something we would do, we would want to do, and it's happening. The circumstances in which it is happening, we talked about that, and they're not the happiest of circumstances. But then, in our times, it's difficult to imagine what circumstances would be happy. Something or the other would still happen the way things are going, and yet we would want to discuss things of value, of profound value, like Satya's book. I'll speak very briefly. Satya, in any case, has offered a very, very clear and sharply delineated summary of the essence of his ideas. First of all, there is just something which I read yesterday when I was going over the book once more. Towards the later part of the book, there's a chapter called Beatific Life. In that chapter, there is a very beautiful citation from Schelling himself, from his Clara Dialogues. Satya, of course, knows about that much better than I do. But I read it, and it was actually about life in the university, or what would be a true life of the thinker, of the academic. And it uses a word which is a delicate word, but it uses it, again, very, very profoundly, with profound insight and meaning, which is spiritual. The life of an academic, a thinker, is a spiritual life. At the same time, it is a life of freedom. The thinker is always thinking an element of something like freedom. At the same time, this freedom is not, Schelling says, lawlessness. It is not anarchy. He uses the word anarchy. It is not the madman's caprice, something that is completely without any orientation. And so he goes on to say something which is really enigmatic and requires us to think, and Satya's book is a guidepost to that thinking, which is the thinking of something like inner necessity at the heart of freedom. And this, I think, is a salutary solicitation or a task that the thinker or the academic in the so-called institutional space of a university is asked to perform. But this is, of course, something I read and I want to just present it to you. Now, on the question of Schelling himself, now, of course, my gratitude to Satya, as it always has been, is very personal in the sense of the work I do myself, whatever little I'm able to manage. Much of it is because I am really set on the right path by Satya. In the last 15 years maybe, I don't know, I'm not counting anymore. This is what has been happening. So Schelling is somebody I know a little more, only because of his investigations, the work he is doing. It has happened in the kind of intellectual forums that he has been the initiator of, like what Babu mentioned, the Gora Forum, which has brought several of us together across spaces, across institutions. And also, by reading his work, his many essays which have now come together in this magnificent book. At the same time, it is not as if one did not know of Schelling. For instance, that they just mentioned it, that this is a notorious quotation from Hegel, and which is that in the night of the absolute, all clouds are black, an apparent reference to Schelling in Hegel's phenomenology. One had read that, and Schelling remained in that kind of Hegel's shadow. The next time I really seriously noted the presence of Schelling was in a book, a very different book from Hegel's philosophy, a modern book, classic of course in its own right, which was, and this is also many years back, Gilles Deleuze's Difference and Repetition, in which Deleuze actually writes very briefly but very pointedly about Schelling. And in that book I read, and this was what Deleuze said, how Hegel had been greatly unfair, terribly unfair to Schelling. Because it is in Schelling, and I think there Deleuze and Satya are in agreement, it is in Schelling that something like the notion of difference is thinkable. While in Hegel there is a certain kind of eventual overcoming of difference into the thinking of what Deleuze calls the image of thought as unity, the single unified image of thought. So if someone challenges that image of thought, which is, to use Satya's word, this is not a word Deleuze uses, but I don't think he would complain, the hegemonic image of thought, which is also a political image, which is the image of unity, the image of the one. That, if anyone really differentiates or breaks up, fragment, it is Schelling. This is a point that comes more than once, though very briefly and in parenthesis, in Deleuze's book, in Difference and Repetition. But interestingly, Deleuze indicates a somewhat different intellectual history or a genealogy for Schelling, from the genealogy and the future also that Satya, of which Satya is part of Schellingian thought. In Deleuze, we see the genealogy or the tracing of that connection in Western philosophy from Neoplatonism through Leibniz to Schelling, which, as you would know, is a kind of thought which is not at all historical. It is based on something which has two sides. One is the term that Plato would use in his Republic and then in other books also, which is eidos, idea. So one of the aspects of that system is idea. And the other aspect is classification, mathesis, which is the great Leibnizian kind of dream to classify, to tabulate, to present all the typologies, all the variations possible in the domain of ideas. Which is very different from any kind of thinking which brings in the question of time or history. Deleuze did not develop this in Difference and Repetition, and I don't think he wrote extensively about Schelling anywhere. But he does indicate this very interesting genealogy of which, as you know, Deleuze himself belonged to that tradition. When I read Satya, it is clearly apparently a different project, which is a project which is, and Satya talked about it so well right now, which is a very, very singular and absolutely crucial critique and investigation in philosophy history. And there, Satya's own vocabulary comes where he uses a difficult word, eschatology. Now, if you read the introduction or the foreword by the great philosopher Jacques Bensussen to Satya's book, with whom Satya has collaborated and they are great interlocutors, Bensussen says something which is very interesting, which I want to understand more from Satya, which is that eschatology has to be distinguished from messianism. But I will not enter that question. Now, the word eschatology itself, like many of these philosophical part of the Western philosophical vocabulary, have Latin and Greek roots. Now, again, I'm not in any way advocating a philological or an etymological method, and all that is a different question. But I'm still just mentioning the fact that the word eschaton in Greek actually is not a temporal word at all. Eschaton meant the end of something. Mostly the word was used in the case of the city, the Greek city. So the eschaton was the border of the city, and the meson was the center. So when someone had to be exiled, so for instance Socrates was given the option of being sent out of Athens, which he refused. It was to be exiled or sent without, exit the eschaton, the spatial boundary of the city, and move to the meson, where mostly all the philosophical activity will happen. Now, this is very different from how Christianity would later use this word and take up this word and give it a great prestige, a philosophical and theological prestige. And it would become a question of something like the end. And end of what? End of a certain millennium, a certain temporal sequence with the coming of something like the Messiah or salvation. Now there clearly eschatology and messianism are very closely linked, at least in Orthodox theological understanding. But what remains interesting is the logic of eschatology. And that, I think, is where Satya really initiates his thinking or finds his thinking, discovers his thinking, is that whatever we schematize, however we schematize, whether spatially or temporally, the eschaton is an event. The eschaton is not the static existence of an inside-outside or a border or a temporal end or whatever. Eschaton is the event of the possibility of thinking of such an event. It is the event of an exit. It is the event of the possibility of thinking of the end of things. So in that sense, Satya's thought is indeed in a tradition which is a new tradition and hence no tradition at all, but I would say a provocation, a disturbance of all traditions, which is evental, which today in philosophy, in certain kinds of academic or in scholarly circles has become very obvious and almost fashionable to talk of a certain notion of event. But if we look at philosophy carefully, then we must know the hegemony of being remains as powerful as that. An event remains something which is philosophically a precarious subject thing. Now, to end today's whatever little I have to say, is that with Schelling, the question of eschatology becomes particularly interesting because eschatology is, as Satya has pointed out, is to be able to think of something like a breach in Hegelian climax, the culmination of a certain modern thinking or enlightenment thinking with Hegel, where Hegel himself seems to embody or almost create a monument of an end. It is an eschatology which peculiarly opens up that end. So in that sense, Satya's work is remarkable because it is an eschatology which does not accept an end. It does not accept a certain historical version of an ending which is simply a kind of closure. On the contrary, in Satya's work, it is very close to Derrida's work, it is to keep the closure differentiated. It is to keep the system of the ending always internally heterogeneous. Always to be able to think and analyze the point of excess or the point of denudation, whichever way you want to look at it, from where the system is from within broken up. And in that sense, it always has an outside, which is not outside it. The outside is not transcendence in the simplified schematic sense of somewhere else. So the transcendence itself is an eventual transcendence. And that is the most difficult part of Satya's project and the most crucial part. Now finally, the current recuperation of Schelling, of which Satya has contributed in a singular way, in a unique way. Now, as we know, Zizek has a book on Schelling, there are many works on Schelling that are coming out. Now, it seems to me that there are reasons for this. One is, of course, the presence of a psychoanalytic a psychoanalytic precursor. Schelling is a psychoanalytic precursor. That. And Zizek then takes up that possibility. The idea of the unconscious, the ontological possibility of thinking the unconscious. But then there is another direction to Schelling's work, which is the thinking of a philosophy of nature. And it seems to me that today, Schelling is also someone who exists in a certain sort of capitalistic environment, a capitalistic intellectual environment, where there is a banalization, there is a kind of debasement of the thought of difference, where capitalism has become the static glorification of what capitalism would dogmatically sort of impose and naturalize it as difference as natural, difference as everything in nature being essentially, basically difference. Now, what happens then is that difference itself becomes a certain emblem of the image of thought, as Deleuze would call it, of unity. So difference then becomes a slogan, an ideology, and as any ideology, it promotes a single image of thought. And in a way, capitalism is a kind of pseudo-philosophy of nature, not that these guys have heard of Schelling, they're too illiterate for that, but there is a kind of unconscious Schellingian, debased Schellingian kind of bad potentiality in the philosophy of capitalism. That, I think, is one reason why something like the dialectic, which has now lost much of its prestige and legitimacy, is opposed by this kind of a debased Schellingianism of capitalism, which is to make difference into a static indifference. So nature becomes an image of indifference, difference itself is indifference. Deleuze had pointed this out. Deleuze had pointed this out in his brief comments on difference and repetition, that something like what is called groundlessness in Schelling becomes an alibi for something which is close to indifference, indifferentiation instead of the modalities of differentiation. And nature becomes a certain kind of ideological image of that indifference. And that nature here might include culture. So we are all different communities, different countries, different nations. It's the liberal utopia of making this itself into a static, unified image of cultural difference. Now, this said, the task is then not bring Schelling into the orbit of thinking. On the contrary, it is to rescue Schelling, to recuperate Schelling from this involuntary or unconscious debasement. And Deleuze, whatever he did at that time, and Satya now and many others, in a sense, are part of this rescue of difference as, to come back to what Satya calls event or the eschatology, that difference as something which is activated, difference as something which is differentiated. And that to me seems to be the essence of Satya's work and is of immense political value, a value which is obvious in Satya's own rebellion at this point in the universe. Thank you.